Welcome back to another weekly roundup of cloud gaming news brought to you by yours truly. Remember, if you want to stay up to date with all the latest in cloud gaming, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next video, and of course, as always, if you enjoy the content, give the video a like, helps the channel out a lot. But for now, let's jump into the news, and first up, let's talk about what is arguably a very big week for Nvidia with the announcement of their 3000 series cards. Yes, the RTX 3000 series lineup was unveiled with both specs and prices that will make anyone who recently invested in an RTX 2080 Ti just cry.
Alright, I'm gonna go cry.
They're gonna be sad about it. But Mark, didn't you just invest in a 2070 Super for the rig you just built? 30-day return policy, baby. But with the launch of the new cards, we have a bundle available from Nvidia, which includes GeForce Now. For a limited time, we're not quite sure what that means at this point, but with the purchase of an RTX 3000 series card, you can claim a free copy of Watch Dogs Legion and a year of GeForce Now Founders Tier. The argument there being, why would you need GeForce Now when you've just built a rig with an RTX 3000 card? Well, you can play it on the go. Laptops, tablets, phones, GeForce Now is amazing on the go. Not to mention, as we've previously discussed, Nvidia has confirmed its new card technology will make its way to GeForce Now at some point, which for many of us may be the most accessible way to experience the power of an RTX 3090, a card so powerful it can only be contained by an oven.
Come here. Come here to Papa. Alrighty.
But what would that look like? The RTX 3090 on GeForce Now? Is it a new tier, a top, even more expensive tier? Who knows? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. With that, it's a new week, which means a new selection of games has been added to the GeForce Now library, which I'll throw up on screen here. A couple of new releases, one of them Crusader Kings Free, which was released on just Tuesday this week. We also have this week's free title from the Epic Game Vault, which is Into the Breach. Moving on to Stadia, we have another free play weekend this weekend where Stadia Pro subscribers can try out The Crew 2. Same as we saw with the Borderlands free weekend, we can probably expect The Crew 2 to go on some kind of sale next week after the event is over. Next in Stadia news, we have another APK breakdown from the guys over at 9to5Google. For those unaware of what an APK breakdown is, whenever the newest version of Google Stadia is uploaded to the Play Store, 9to5Google download and dissect the APK file to pull out anything that looks like references to upcoming features. Now, that doesn't mean the features are always guaranteed to make it into our hands, but it's usually a pretty good indicator. So the first thing to be uncovered is messaging on Google Stadia. Currently, you can invite people to your party and speak to them over a voice chat, or you'd have to contact them off platform. There is just no way to directly message people on your friends list. But with strings discovered in the APK screens that actually say, welcome to Stadia messaging, I think we can be pretty confident that this one is on its way. The big one we need to talk about, which is unfortunately the one which is so scarce of details, is further mention of UPlay Plus. UPlay Plus integration would bring the Ubisoft back catalogue over to Stadia, and when it was announced last year, the only date we were given at the time was sometime in 2020, which is slowly but also very quickly coming to an end. But obviously all of those announcements were made before COVID-19. UPlay Plus itself is currently $14.99 a month and gets you unlimited access to the Ubisoft library, as well as all of their additional add-on content. But of course, we'd have to wait to see what kind of pricing structure would be announced when it's integrated with Stadia's already $9.99 a month Pro subscription model. Do I think this is coming anytime soon? Unfortunately not. In the APK breakdown, there was only two very brief mentions of UPlay Plus. You could think about this very optimistically because there is in fact a Ubisoft Forward event which is happening on September 10th, which Stadia did retweet. But as bad as their marketing team is, you've got to expect that they would make a bigger deal of this than just a retweet. I could be wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And to wrap up the APK breakdown, we have mentions of restricted scene recording. This would essentially blank out scenes from recordings or streams to, quote, prevent spoilers and protect from copyrighted material. Which sounds weird, but what this could actually hint at is further preparation going into Stadia's YouTube streaming functionality, because hopefully they are the first ones to be aware of what a bastard their copyright system is. Next, we have announcements for the new titles added to PlayStation Now for the month of September. We have Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, Final Fantasy 15, I know Roman numerals, WWE 2K19, and Observation. PlayStation Now does offer a 7-day free trial, so if you wanted to try out any of these games, you could do so absolutely free, as long as you can finish them all in 7 days. I don't know what your schedule looks like. Speaking of PlayStation, it's definitely worth noting the announcement from Sony. They have confirmed they plan to make more of their first-party titles available on PC. That means, fingers crossed, we could see titles like Marvel's Spider-Man and God of War come to PC, which would also mean they would be available on cloud streaming platforms like Shadow or Maximum Settings. As well as that, if we assume those first-party titles will also be coming to Steam, much like Horizon Zero Dawn did, then we could potentially see them come to GeForce Now. So it's definitely one to watch. And finally, it's been a little while, so let's talk about Shadow. The two things I want to talk about, first up, availability, and secondly, the big update that has just been released. So yes, first up, let's talk about availability. If you're a brand new Shadow customer and you've pre-ordered the boost tier, this is something we talk about on the live streams fairly often because the current wait times fluctuate depending on where you live from, that's not so bad, to surely that's a typo. So as a rough example taken from their most recent activation update, if you were to pre-order the boost tier today, for example, the current estimates are activation by the end of November this year, if you're close to the Chicago, Texas, or Santa Clara data centers, by the end of December, if you're close to the New York or Amsterdam data centers, and by the end of February 2021 for the Paris data center, which is the data center used for UK customers. So yeah, super interested to get your thoughts on these current activation times, especially that Paris data center, February 2021 for new customers. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But on a more positive note, Shadow just got a big update across all platforms, and I'll link to the full patch notes in the description down below, but I wanted to call out a couple of the key changes. First up, the Shadow Quick menu, which you all know and love, is now available on Linux. The Xbox Controller Elite V2 is now supported on macOS. An interesting one, audio has less impact on CPU performance. Nvidia driver settings are saved at an account level now to keep them consistent across all devices that you swap between. Nvidia Shield remote controller support has been added to Android devices. And finally, a pretty big one if you're a user of macOS, iOS, iPadOS, or tvOS, these versions of Shadow will now use the new Apple Metal renderer. What exactly does that mean? Metal is a high efficiency, low overhead hardware accelerated 3D graphic and compute shader API, which is just a very complicated way of saying it is the tool that renders the image of your Shadow onto your iOS device with better performance and less of an impact on local hardware. So all very cool stuff. But that's it from me. So of course, if you enjoyed the video, you found it somewhat helpful, a like rating would be appreciated. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next one. Hope everyone's staying safe out there, and as always, I shall see you in the next one.